something that big corporations are doing that produce food products, and they also produce food containers like things like baby bottles, storage products, those kind of things. And when I began researching this, I was literally just sitting there fuming researching this, and so I just had to come share it with you guys today. And this is something that everyone needs to be aware of. And the specific subject of today is bisphenol A, or BPA. Now, many of you have heard of this additive before, and that's not really what the show's about. But for those of you that haven't, BPA is an additive in plastics, and it's also used to line the walls of canned foods and also drinks to prevent the food from tasting like the metal that it's in, like things like metal cans that have food in them and drink. And it's also used in the lining of cash register receipts. So that's some of the three biggest sources of BPA in our bodies.
The lining of cash register
Yeah,
receipts?
like when you take a receipt from the register whenever you buy something, that receipt has a pretty significant amount of BPA on it.
Wow.
And so that's probably our three biggest sources. And now BPA, for those of you that don't know, has been linked to all sorts of hormonal, reproductive, and behavioral problems. Things like ADD, anxiety, depression, female problems, thyroid problems, early onset of puberty. The average age of puberty for girls now is 9, and it used to be 13. The reason that's happening is there's so much BPA. It has an estrogen-like quality to it, so there's so much estrogen, there's so much BPA that their body picks that up, and they go into puberty much younger than what they would. So it used to be 13, it's gone down to 9.
But you're not going to suggest that we don't eat, drink, or shop.
No,
right?
absolutely not. No, I'm going to show you solutions to this. But here's the rub with all of this that got me so upset is that. And by the way, there's 1 million pounds of BPA released in our environment every year. So it's in everybody's body. It's even been found in the placental fluid of every newborn they've ever tested. So it's everywhere. Now, here's the part. As we become more alarmed about using BPA products, more and more of us are starting to buy BPA-free products. BPA-free pacifiers, BPA-free baby bottles, and like, for instance, my son, all of his cups and all of his plates are all BPA-free.
Yeah, that's become an advertising tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're seeing more and more of this labels BPA-free. Well, it has now been discovered that BPA, or bisphenol A, has been replaced in these BPA-free products by a new chemical called bisphenol S.
You've got to be kidding me.
Right.
Just as dangerous?
Yes. Or more. So they took the BPA out and put BPS in, slapped a big BPA-free label on the front of it, and put it up for sale. So,
well, how do you even know that it's in there?
It's really hard to know. It's very, very difficult to know about this. And so we're all buying BPA-free baby bottles for our children and counting on these companies to know that, look, if we're going to go buy something that's BPA-free, that means that we're a consumer that's concerned about chemical buildup in our families. And so instead of doing the right thing, they switch the chemical that is just as bad or more so, put a big BPA-free label on it on the front of the package, and now it's up for sale. So this is the most obvious company misleading of health-minded consumers that I have seen in a long time. These are true scoundrels to do something like this because these are health-conscious people. If it was going to be, if it wouldn't be such a big deal if we weren't health-minded and already trying to buy chemical-free things. So both of these chemicals affect brain health in children, leading to hyperactivity, behavioral problems, developmental problems, hormone problems, and much more. And the other thing that they just found is these chemicals actually increase the differentiation of fat cells in our body.
What does that mean?
That means it makes us gain weight, makes us heavy.
Great.
Yeah, is what it means. So, if you think about the health problems that the people around us have, It's thyroid problems,
Yeah.
hyperactivity problems, hormonal problems, thyroid problems. And this is where a lot of this stuff's coming from.
Yeah. It sounds like, when the government jumps in and has a ban,
Right.
it's not necessarily helping us.
Right, because you can always, and especially with chemicals, it's so easy to switch one little
Yeah.
piece of that chemical and still get the same result, but
Yeah.
call it something different. So, chemicals are a real hard thing to control in products that we eat. So what we're going to do after break is I'm going to give you 4 tips on how you can avoid these chemicals in your everyday family life. Well, let me just say how we can reduce them, because you cannot avoid them.
Really?
They're impossible. There's no way you're going to say, I'm not going to let any of this stuff into my body, because it's going to get there, because it's literally everywhere. But my thing with this is, let's just try to cut it down by 50%. Before I had a 4-year-old, I used to tell people, don't let your kids put anything plastic in your mouth. Now that I have a 4-year-old, I say, let's just try to cut it down by 50% if we can. If we can curb it by half, we're doing really good with that. Because that's
Welcome to the real world.
Yeah,
Dr.
exactly.
Kevin.
Yeah. So I had a 4-year-old, had to change my talk on that one. So but after break, I'm going to show you ways that we can reduce these chemicals in your family.
Great.